Hello there, my name is Jay. I'm one of the expert IELTS teachers here at E2 Language. Let's take a look at IELTS Writing Task 2, discuss both views, plus provide your own view. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to think about how to analyze a task effectively and how to plan your essay effectively as well. On test day, you should spend about 4 minutes analyzing and planning. Really, you should not just begin writing your essay as soon as you read that task. You'll find, and particularly with this task here, is that it can be quite complex and you need to make sure that you're covering all parts of that task, okay? Then we're going to look at some different structures and we're going to write with the criteria in mind. On test day, this will take about, well, most of your time. Here, let's say 32 minutes. This will leave about 4 minutes at the end where you check your work for silly mistakes. So let's analyze the task and plan accordingly. All right, let's read this task carefully because it's pretty complex. Some people believe that there should be fixed punishments for each type of crime. Others, however, argue that the circumstances of an individual crime and the motivation for committing it should always be taken into account when deciding on the punishment. Whoa! Discuss both these views and give your opinion. Give your own opinion. Holy moly, this is a complex task. And again, we need to break it down so we answer all parts of it. Okay, so there should be fixed punishments for each type of crime. There should be fixed punishments for each type of crime. So if I shoplift, there should be a fixed punishment. Or if I do something terrible, there should be a fixed punishment as well. Okay, cool, easy. Now, others believe that the circumstances of an individual crime and the motivation for committing it should always be taken into account when deciding on the punishment. Okay, so if I'm caught shoplifting, that depends on my motivation and the circumstances, so it's not going to be a fixed punishment, right? Do you understand what this question prompt's about? Cool. You do need to actually read through it and sort of explain it to yourself a bit to make sure that you fully understand what it actually means. And of course, I'm going to have to discuss both these views plus give my own opinion. So what I'm going to do here is write a 3-paragraph essay, 3 body paragraphs. The first paragraph, I'm going to talk about how there should be fixed punishments for crimes. Then in the second paragraph, I'm going to talk about how punishments should depend on individual circumstances and motivations for a crime. Then I'm going to write another paragraph where I give my personal view, okay? So I'm going to make sure that I cover each part of that task there. More specifically, in the first paragraph, I'm going to talk about how fixed punishments for crimes are simpler because there's no need for a trial in court. And that means that it's going to be cheaper, more efficient for the justice system. I'm also going to talk about how fixed punishments will deter other criminals because knowing the penalty in advance may discourage offenders. Okay, so that's my first paragraph there about the first part about fixed punishments. What about the second part here? Well, that punishments should depend on the circumstances and motivations. Well, here I'll say that this would provide a fairer system. For example, murder and accidental killings are very different crimes, and the same punishment would be unfair. Cool. Then I'm going to talk about my opinion. I'm going to say in that third paragraph that petty crimes could have the same punishment, like graffiti or speeding or shoplifting, and it could be a good deterrent, but serious crimes should always be dealt with on an individual case-by-case basis. Cool. This is going to be a great essay now that I've planned accordingly. Okay, let's follow the structure now, or let's think about different structures. One structure could be this. I'll start with an introduction, as always. The introduction will have a background statement about the topic that sort of sets the scene or sets the context. It'll be broad. It'll be about crime and punishment. Then I'll drill in and I'll write a specific statement based on the task. And then I'll tell the reader what I'm going to write about, plus I'm going to give my opinion or my view. That's going to be my introduction. In body paragraph 1, I can provide the first view. In body paragraph 2, the second view plus my view and end with a conclusion that has a broad statement where I summarize the arguments and the opinion. Here's another way to structure it, and I think this is probably more appropriate for this task. I'll have the same introduction. In body 1, I'll talk about the first view, about fixed punishments. In body 2, I'll talk about the second view, or the circumstances around a specific punishment or a specific crime. And in body 3, I'll give my personal view, and I'll dedicate an entire paragraph to my personal view before concluding that. Cool. And I'll show you a sample for each of these structures in a minute. Okay, let's focus more closely on this structure though, because what I'm going to do in my first paragraph is I'm going to use a double idea paragraph that'll have like an umbrella or topic sentence followed by a point, followed by an extension of that point, followed by a different point and an extension of that other point. In body 2, I'm going to use a single idea paragraph where I have a point, which I explain, I give an example, I show an effect, and then I link it back to that question prompt. In body 3, I'll write another single idea paragraph. Okay, now let's write this essay now with those structures in mind and our planning, and we're going to write the essay with the criteria in mind. Just to refresh your memory of the criteria, there's task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource or vocabulary, and grammatical range and accuracy. More specifically, I want you to pause the video and just read through these one more time. Okay, let's look at the first sample here. So this is the one with the 2 double idea paragraphs. Pause the video, take a look at the entire essay, and take a look more closely at the body paragraphs there, and think about the structure that is within each of those paragraphs. Okay, let's now look at this essay. This essay has a different structure, and I think it's probably more appropriate because that task had so many moving parts, right? Really 3 parts. There was the first idea about fixed punishments, the second idea about sort of circumstantial punishments, and then you needed to provide your view as well. Therefore, I think this structure's probably better. You might want to pause the video and take a close look at this one here and have a look how I've used different paragraph structures and how I've made sure that my opinion was clear throughout here. And I also have discussed both views. And if I look at it with regard to task response, I've answered all parts of the question. I presented a clear position or opinion throughout, my view. I presented, extended, and supported all of my ideas, which can especially be seen in the paragraphs and in the body paragraphs themselves. Most importantly, I've stayed on topic, okay? I haven't written something about how prison sentences should be longer or, how criminals should have better educations. I haven't gone off topic. Everything I've written here is just based on that task. Please don't go off topic on test day. In terms of coherence and cohesion, it's organized logically. I've used the paragraphs, of course. I've used a range of linking devices appropriately. In terms of vocabulary, I've demonstrated a wide range of vocabulary. I've used the vocabulary precisely, and I've used correct spelling throughout. Okay. What I want you to do is pause the video and note down all the crime-related vocabulary in here. And just also notice that vocabulary doesn't necessarily mean a single word. It could mean a phrase or a collocation. Okay, the last thing you need to think about on test day is grammatical range. And of course, you're going to be thinking about grammatical accuracy. But a lot of people forget about grammatical range. That is, they need to put into their essay a wide range of sentence structures. You kind of need to show off your writing skills to the examiner. You don't just want to write in simple short sentences or just in compound sentences. You want to have simple, compound, complex, compound, complex, conditional sentences, pop in a question in there, whatever you can do to vary the sentence structures. Let's look at these complex sentence structures. Complex structures are sentences that use these conjunctions like after or even if. So you might want to start a sentence with after or even if or once or so that, or it might have the word when in it, or although or even though, provided that. And also relative pronouns like who, which, that, where, and whose. Pause the video, take a look at these words and think about how you can construct sentences with one of these words, because these words turn an ordinary sentence into a complex sentence, and the examiners want to see that in your writing. If you look closely at this essay here, you'll see a number of complex structures. Here you can see the word while that is coordinating the two parts of that sentence there. You can see the second sentence in red there, who, those who support. That is a complex structure. Third one, if, a good if sentence is really helpful at times. There's a second if sentence, another while, and an although sentence. So here in this essay, there are a range of complex structures. Okay, we haven't finished yet. What we need to do now is check our work for silly mistakes. So there are common errors that occur in IELTS essays, including subject-verb agreement problems, or you forget to put the S on the plural noun. There are a number of them. Take a look at this essay with the highlights. Tell me what's wrong with these errors and how can you fix them. Cool, so you might do it like this. It might be a punctuation error, might be a word choice error, might be a verb tense error, might be a pronoun error, could be a range of different things there. Okay, so what you need to do on test day is this. You need to analyze the task, understand it fully, and plan your essay accordingly. The structure that you use will depend on the task and your planning. You might write 2 body paragraphs, 2 single ideas. You might write 2 double idea paragraphs, a single and a double. You might write 3 paragraphs, a single, single, double, a double, double, single. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. And please make sure that you're not memorizing any template before test day. Really, what you're doing is responding entirely to that task that you receive on test day and writing according to that only, not from some memorized essay that you did 2 weeks ago, okay? You're always going to write with the criteria in mind, keeping in mind, task are you writing on topic? Is it grammatical? Do you have a range of vocabulary? Did you use discourse markers appropriately, etc.? And finally, you'll check your work. Cool. Now that we've done the theory, it's up to you to now apply it and do some practice.